What it is, what it do, you tuned into the Jose Morales podcast. I'm your host, Jose Morales, and we're back in the ring a little later than usual just because schedule conflicts, but we're back. I even brought my little friend right here, Jose, joining us. Jose, the bobblehead. I hope you enjoyed the last episode, Burn the Boats with Matt Higgins. A lot of great stuff on it. I hope you liked it, and if you have not listened to it yet, go back, listen to it. And now this episode, I'm going to be having Madeline Days, aka Grizzly, on the show, where we're going to talk about her whole life story, how she brought up her siblings, her parents, what she likes, her boxing, and her future goals. And those that know Grizzly, she has been dying to be on the podcast, so it's going to be good to hear her talk. Here it is, and I hope you guys enjoy it. For the record, she's the first person to get me to sit on this side. So I gave her my good side. That's the only way I could get her to do this podcast. So thank you, Grizzly, for coming on, Grizzly.
Thanks for having me, Coach.
This is something that we've been trying to do for a while. So this girl's tough to book. So that's why we're a little behind on schedule. So I apologize about that. Last time it was my fault. But today's episode, we're going to learn everything about Grizzly. Her name is actually Madeline, which her family calls her Maddie. Nickname Grizzly came from the gym, so we'll get into that. We'll get into her story and just get more familiar with her. Are you ready, Grizzly?
Ready.
All right. So first, tell me about, where were you born? Where were you raised? What's your childhood like? Let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, I was born here locally, and I was raised in Citrus Heights. And then when I was 4, we moved to Granite Bay, and I've been there since. Mm-hmm. Grew up with my mom, dad, and I have a little sister, 3 years younger than me. Yeah, that's about it.
That's it?
Yeah.
What was your upbringing like? Was your parents strict? Did they discipline you? Were they nice? Were they lenient? What was that like?
They weren't strict. They were lenient, but it was more of a trust-based thing. Like they let me go do things if they trusted me that I could take care of myself and do the right thing and stuff like that. I did get disciplined on whenever I did, something wrong or shouldn't have done. But yeah, most of the time they're pretty lenient on things. Mm-hmm.
Now looking back, now that you're an adult, do you think is that something you would want to raise your kids like how you were raised, or would you change something from it?
No, I like the way I was raised.
You like it?
Yeah.
How come?
I like being independent.
Yeah, independent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. How was your relationship with your sister?
We were really close when we were younger, and once I started boxing more and then, got a job and then started going to college. And when she entered high school, we kind of grew apart a little more. Mm-hmm. And because we weren't home as much, she was off with her friends. I was off doing whatever I was doing. Yeah. So we didn't spend as much time together. But no, like when we were kids, we were best friends. Yeah. We were we were all together all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. As you got older, things kind of changed. Yeah. And you guys are complete opposite. I always say you're like complete opposite. Yeah. You're like your dad. She's like your mom to me, kind of. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and what was Grizzly like as a kid? Like, did you play sports? What was Grizzly like during the childhood years, athletic wise?
I played soccer for 11 years, and I love soccer. I thought that's what I was going to do my entire life. Yeah,
what position?
They always put me in midfield, but I love striker.
Okay.
Yeah, I played goalie for about 5 years. Moved up to defense and then wanted to become striker. But, I started playing rec and I was like the only one who could handle the ball well. So they put me in midfield all the time. And I hated it because I had to run up and down the field the entire time.
The most.
I hated it. But so I played soccer and then I played softball when I want to say I was like 8 to 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
I played that competitively and that was pretty fun. And then I got burnt out. So then I started boxing.
Yeah. Why'd you get burnt out?
It was, so the practices we had, I was a catcher. They would never put me in the catching position. They would put me everywhere else and they said, you need to work on this if you want to catch. And that's exactly what I do. I'd go home, I'd work on it, every day. And then they never let me show, what I was able to do, how I changed. So I'm like, okay, well, this sucks. I'm not being able to do anything. You're not letting me show you what I can do. So.
Did you ever communicate that with them?
Yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing changed?
Nothing changed.
How long did you do it for?
3 or 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's softball and soccer. They're very political. So it's who
Yeah.
you know, how long you've had them on your team for.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think sports in general are pretty political.
hmm
Yeah, that's what the ugly part of the sport industry. What was high school for you like? What were your grades like? What was Grizzly in high school?
My grades were good, A's and B's. Um, I didn't. I wasn't very outgoing. You know, my friends forced me to go to the school dances.
Yeah.
You know, I just I wanted to get in and get out
Yeah.
because honestly, I didn't love high school. Like I like hanging out with my friends, you know, and that. But I don't know. I was very introverted.
Okay.
So yeah.
Now that you're out of high school, looking back, do you regret that you were like that, or would you still do the same thing?
Maybe a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I was more outgoing senior year because I wanted to do everything. You
Yeah.
know,
So it was your last year in school.
yes, last year. But I mean, for the most part, I'm kind of glad I didn't do things everybody else did, like go party or whatever. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I got my grades. My grades are taken care of. I focus on school. I focus on my sport, and I'm glad I did because then I probably wouldn't, do as good as I did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You did really good. So your whole life sounds like it was, very well upbringing, school, good grades. Give me some adversities Grizzly faced as a kid and as a teenager. What's something that was tough for you?
Um, my self-confidence.
Mm,
Yeah.
Explain.
So in high school and a little bit in middle school, since I was so introverted, I didn't talk to a lot of people, but I was still like friendly if they talked to me or whatever. And I think the whole not being able to play my position or show whatever, I improved in softball and soccer, I think that kind of affected me a little bit because I'm like, well, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm
Yeah.
not good enough to do this and play that position and be on this team. And so that kind of affected me. And then it spread to like my social life and like my personal life. Like maybe I'm not, you know, as good as a friend as everybody else is, like maybe I'm not that fun or good
Yeah.
to talk
So you
to or
started putting a
whatever.
lot of doubt in your head
Yeah, exactly.
in every point.
Mhm.
Friendships. How did you overcome that, or do you still struggle with that?
Sometimes I still struggle with it, but honestly, boxing has helped a lot. I feel like ever since I came here and I met all my friends here, the warriors and just people in classes or whatever, and it's got me to talk to them more. And I feel like I've made a lot of friends and I just feel better,
Yeah.
you know?
So it kind of helped you
Yeah, it kind of helped
be
me.
more secure about yourself.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
So how did you get into boxing? Now that we're on the boxing
Mhm.
subject, how did it come about, and then how'd you get into it?
Yeah, so when I was 7, 8 years old, my dad made my sister and I go to kickboxing classes. And I did not like it because, they made us do burpees all the time. And
Yeah.
I freaking hated it. But yeah, so he made us go to boxing classes just to get a workout in. And then we stopped a couple of years in because of other sports. Scarlett, my sister, she started playing soccer. And then I was playing soccer and softball. So we just stopped. And then once I stopped playing softball, my dad was like, okay, come to Krav Maga with me, which is like a street fighting kind of thing. So I went to Krav Maga classes with him and I hated that too. I hate grappling. I don't like elbows, knees, kicking, grappling, whatever. No. So I'm like, can I just go back to boxing and do that? Because he has 3 rules before I leave the house, and that's learn how to fight, know how to swim, and do good in school. So I got the swimming in the school down. I just got to learn how to fight. So
That's a cool rule.
yeah. So that's when I came here. And actually, I went back to my old gym first, Navaroni's, and then I came here.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
That's cool. I didn't know about the 3 rules. I like
Yeah.
those 3 rules. So tell me what was it like starting here? So when you first came here, why did you come here? What because you were at Navaroni's, what
Mhm.
made you switch? What happened?
So in Navaroni's, it was hard to get a lot of training in because I realized, a few months in, I'm like, okay, I kind of want to compete. I want to keep going with boxing. And I would work after classes, do shadow boxing, work on the speed bag, my own stuff. But it wasn't that one-on-one, like I didn't
Mhm.
get a whole lot out of it. And so my dad has this friend, it was Travis.
Yeah.
And he said that Ava was coming here. And so I wanted to come check it out. And so him and I came check it out. And honestly, when I came in here, I was super nervous. I saw you out back with the Warriors and, running or whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is a lot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to do this, and I'm super, you know, nervous about it.
That's when your doubts started kicking in?
That's when the doubts started kicking in. And I still wanted to do it, though. So,
that's good.
Yeah. So we signed up.
How'd you commit? When you had this doubt, how did you, like, not back out of it? Like, what did you do?
It's like, well, if I wanted to get anywhere with boxing, if I wanted to do what I actually want to do, then I have to take that step that, you know, I might be afraid of it, but I got to take that step towards it to be able to do it. Yeah.
You know why I'm asking you that?
Why?
Because I think these things happen to all of us. Happen to you, happen to us, happen to the next person that's going to walk through the doors, where we get this nervous, doubt, fear, these emotions that sometimes it causes people to stop to go forward. So I wanted to share your story where you also had those feelings, but you just didn't let them stop you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I want to know if you did anything in particular, but what you did is you told yourself, if I want to get better, I got to do this. So you walked into the doors, you signed up, give me your first month training sessions, or how'd it go?
Training was good. The classes, you know, I was used to them because I did that in Aberronies.
Yeah.
It was 45 minutes. They were fairly easy, except when you take David's class, you know, made us run all the time.
David,
did not like
asshole.
that, by the way. But yeah, and then once I started getting the Warrior program, that 2 hours kicked my butt. Like I went an hour through and I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
You know, I remember specifically the uppercut bag was over here by the mirror. And I was working on it. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like, this sucks. You know, I would just want to go to sleep. It was 4 a.m. You know, I was training the 4 a.m.s before school, and I'm like, I don't want to be here right now.
And you were in high school still, right?
I was in high school. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and I thought for sure I was just gonna pass out, and you know that'd be it. But once I got past that and was like more conditioned to train the 2 hours, then it didn't get easier, but I can hang for longer.
Yeah.
You know, and it got more fun.
What was each level like to you? So you went from classes to warrior training and moved up. What was that like for you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the Blood Axe and Attila, they were the easiest levels, obviously. The Attila was a little tougher because it was hard to find sparring, away sparring. And I got super nervous every time I away sparred when I was in Attila. And then in Paler, it got more nerve-wracking because I had to start competing. But then after, maybe like 5-6 fights, I got kind of more used to it.
Yeah.
More used to fighting and competing, and the nerves went away more.
Yeah.
And then Vercingetorix, it was good. It was that level, I would say, was most difficult because I had to become more talkative, more social, and more of a leader. And that's not who I am. That's not me. I was super
you're out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. So, and honestly, starting teaching the classes though, that helped a lot.
Yeah.
So,
I think you do a great job too.
Thank you. But it was kind of weird telling the other warriors what to do.
Yeah.
It's like, I train with you. I'm friends with you. I'm like, what am I gonna say? Like, no, do your push-ups now. So yeah, that was kind of weird.
Does it still feel weird, or you kind of?
No, it still feels weird. Yeah. I mean, the newer warriors, I don't have much of a problem. But if it's like, competition teams, then I'm like, I don't want to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what that is? That comes down to leadership skills.
Yeah.
There gets a point where you're all on the same team, and you have Kobe Bryant probably yelling at his teammates, like, hey, you, let's do this. So it's just more of a leadership. It doesn't matter that we're on the same team and you're competing just like me. Yeah. I'm the leader, Right. So, but I get it. That shit's awkward. It's like,
it's
shit.
Awkward. Yeah.
And then, so you went Vercingetorix and then Brazil. How's that going so far?
It's going good. Same thing, kind of, with the talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going pretty well. The working the front desk thing, I have to, do that for learning about that and sign people up. And I'm having trouble, signing people up because I don't like talking to new people so much. So yeah.
So now that by the way, Grizzly's the first one to get to that level, Basil. So each level, there's something new that she has to do. Like right now, what she's got to do is this front desk stuff, and she's having a blast with it yet. But what is that? What about that is tough to you? Is it the talking? Is that what it is, or what is it?
I think it's more, what if I say something wrong?
Yeah.
And I mix up the information, with the pricing, or,
yeah,
whatever
it's okay.
maybe.
It's like everything.
Yeah.
What do you do if you mess up on anything else? It's okay.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with making a mistake. But yeah, I could see that being the thing that would be like playing mind fuck on you,
Yeah.
messing with your head. So let's talk about your competitions and stuff like that. So your very first fight, I remember it clearly. You fought a girl with like 20, 30 fights when it was your first fight.
Mhm.
Your second fight, you fought a girl on Team USA, which was open, had multiple fights. It was your second fight. What was it like going up against all these girls with tons of experience when you had just started?
Well, to start out, I didn't even know they had that much
Yeah,
experience.
yeah, I kept it a
You
secret.
told me nothing.
And,
Yeah.
and I did that on purpose because
Yeah.
when you tell somebody beforehand, it kind of plays with their head, and then they compete at a I don't want to say scared, but with they respect the opponent. So to give them to not respect them, I try to keep all that extra information to myself so they can perform at their best. So that's what I did with her. So how'd you find out afterwards? I mean, how'd you feel afterwards?
I was surprised, honestly,
How come?
because I didn't think. Well, one, during the fight, I always feel like I don't do as well as I actually did.
Yeah.
And so
You always do that.
I always do that. But yeah, I did not feel like I did that well. The first fight, maybe, because I felt like I threw more. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, overall, I didn't think I did that well.
Yeah.
But that's why I was so surprised afterward. And especially against somebody who had that many fights.
Yeah. And just for the record, this girl's probably like first 10 fights were against girls with a ton more experience. Actually, most of your fights. I don't think you fought a girl with the same amount of experience. I think maybe once or twice.
I think once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of all your fights, which was the most memorable to you? That it's a very special one, and why?
That's hard. There's a few of them.
All right, give me all of them then.
Okay, the first national fight, because I feel like that's the first time I really got my ass beat. I got my first bloody nose, and I'm pretty sure my first concussion during that fight. But
That was a big girl.
that was a big girl.
Yeah, you fought her like
Yeah,
20 pounds heavier than where you're at now.
I know. But that was so memorable to me because I just remember I froze up and I'm like, I can't do that anymore. I was so nervous before that I could not move in the ring. And she was working all these angles on me. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. Like, that's what I want to do to other people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that one I remember pretty well. And then I remember the first fight pretty well that we were just talking about.
In Idaho.
Yeah. That one. And because I posted about this once, that fight. And I remember during one of the rounds, like I was in the corner, I was getting hit. I'm like, why the heck am I doing this? And then I don't know, I just started throwing back, and then I just remember the feeling like, oh my God, like it felt so good to be able to fight for myself after, I just got done getting whooped.
Yeah.
So, and then that feeling when you get your hand raised at the end, when you put your all into it, it's like a different kind of feeling that I've ever had.
So those are your most memorable.
That's my most.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see yourself in the future? Like, what are your goals in the future? What do you want to do?
I want to go to the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Before I never really wanted to go to the Olympics before this year.
So what changed?
I saw everybody going. I saw everybody fighting. And that one girl, Alyssa Mendoza, who used to fight Amy, I saw that she went. And I'm like, that's actually super cool. And I remember seeing her at tournaments. And now she's like, in another country fighting for us. And I'm like, that's super cool.
So it made it more realistic you can do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are all the people that you were around.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, I just saw her. Now she's in the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This goes to show, just a little off topic, whoever you're around or what people are around or that are around you, environment, those are the people that are going to inspire you to do whatever they do, whether that's positive or negative stuff. So putting yourself in a good environment to get inspired by dope shit gets you to believe in doing dope shit. Grizzly's a prime example of that. She never thought about Olympics until she started being around Olympians. And now that's a goal of hers. So that's tight. So that's one of your goals. Mm-hmm. You want to go to the Olympics? What else? You got anything else?
Pro. I'd like to go pro.
Uh-huh.
And that's always been the top one.
Yeah.
So
how come? What about it? Like, why? What draws your attention about fighting professional?
I just really like the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I always saw myself as doing something other than a job everybody else had.
Yeah.
You know, I would literally go on walks and like talk to my friends about it. I'm like, I don't want to do something everybody else does, you know,
Yeah.
like a 9 to 5 job or whatever. Like I want to actually stand out.
Yeah, that
So
sounds tight.
I feel like, you know, if I'm doing the sport, then, you know, Olympics and pro, that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I love the sport so much. So I just want to continue to do it for as long as I can.
Yeah. What do you love about boxing?
I really like how it pushes me. You know, I'm in the best shape I've ever been because of it.
Mm.
And it's like I feel like it's my purpose, you know. I never really felt that way with soccer and softball. And then when I started boxing, I felt like, you know, something just clicked, like it was a meant to be kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm addicted to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm.
Now I want to kind of ask you a little bit about your parents. What are your parents like? What's your mom like? Just talk to me a little bit what your mom's like, and then tell me a little bit about your dad.
Okay. My mom is one of the nicest people you will probably meet.
Yeah.
But she worries a lot. You know, she was in middle school and high school. I always called her a helicopter mom because she was like always worried about where I was, what I was doing. And she doesn't agree with that. But
Did
yeah.
you feel like her worries and her fear was projected to you? Did that make you nervous and scared at
Maybe
times?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But lately, I don't know. I'm trying to get her to worry less
Yeah.
because I'm like, you can't control everything. You know, you can't control every outcome. And I'm like, things are going to end up how they're going to end up.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm gonna give you a funny story about your mom because now that we're on the subject, we were in I forgot where it was. I think it was Louisiana actually, and for nationals, and you fought this girl from I think Georgia. I forgot where she was from, and I had talked to your mom prior, and I was like, "This is the girl the Grizzly's fighting." Da, da, da. She was like, "That's who she's fighting." Oh man, she looks good. I was like, "Don't worry, Grizzly's better than her." She's like, "Man," she's like, "You sure she looks pretty good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure."
Thanks, Mom.
She's like, she was kind of like, like hesitant.
Yeah.
And so that was your first fight, I think. It was your first fight, and you stopped the girl in the first round. And then afterwards, right away I told your mom, like, told you she was better than her, and she was like, oh, okay, good. And she was just worried. It's not that she didn't believe in you. She just worries. So I 100% know what you're talking about. All right, tell me about your dad.
My dad's the tougher one. You know, he's always pushed me. We would do, you know, drills for soccer, softball, or whatever. I'm like, and he's like, go faster, you know, throw harder, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you know. But he's always been the tougher one.
Yeah.
But I could always go to him if I had a problem or like, you know, I was worried about something, if I needed help with something. So he and I definitely have more in common than my mom and I do. You know, we're both more outdoorsy. We like sports more. You know, I don't know. We kind of have the same mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to share a dad story now too.
All right.
One of the things that I love about your dad is you can tell he really cares, and you can tell that what I mean by that, I love that he's involved with your sports. So like he'll set up workout routines for you. He'll do this, and then the time he came and wanted to talk to me and like plan for you, that's so tight. Like to me, it was like, man, it's awesome. I'm not saying that your mom doesn't care. I know your mom cares, but it's so awesome that he's so involved and wants to be. He's not physically here because he's working, but he's still there for you. You know what I'm saying? And I love seeing that. And I remember telling him that day, and I remember telling you that day, like not everyone has a father like that. So that was one of my favorite stories about your dad. I have a couple other ones, but that was a PG one. Nah. And so now that we talked about your parents, I know you have a lot of pride in America, being American. Where does that come from? Where did you get that? Where was that birth? Where was the birth of you being proud of being from the U.S.? Tell me about that.
So I have a few family members who've been in the military. You know, grandparents, uncles, and then my dad. So I'd say most of it came from my dad. He was in the Navy SEAL, and all of my pride, I would think, came from him. Because I just remember, you know, we would be in school, like, make sure you always stand up for the flag, you know. Like, there's men and women overseas, they're fighting for you, they're fighting for your ability to be here at school. So you better stand up and you better, you know, pay your respects. So that's where it always came from. And, we just always respected people who would sacrifice
The life,
themselves
yeah.
for ours. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love how she was like, "Oh, the Navy SEAL, like ain't no thing. He was just a Navy SEAL." We got to share another dad story. Another one. We were in Detroit, right
Oh
next.
my gosh.
We
Yeah.
were right next to the Canadian border, literally on the Canadian border, and Pops was mad. He was like, "Man, what's up with all these Canadian flags? What the hell's where's my flag at?" He was pissed. He was not happy about it, and we were like, "Hey, relax. That's Canada. That's Canada. It was supposed to be Canadian flags."
Yeah.
No, but it was freaking hilarious. So I'm assuming I'm going to ask you this. I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you, where's the country girl come from? Where's this country outdoorsy girl? All this, where the boots,
Yeah.
where's this all come from?
The dad.
The dad?
The dad.
So tell me,
Yep.
tell me.
So he's always loved horses.
Yeah.
I got into riding when I was younger because of him, and I liked it for a while. And then I got busy with, sports, school, whatever. And then he bought 3 horses, and sometimes I go riding with him. But ever since he bought those horses, I was, working for him. Like I would muck stalls, just for a little extra gas money. And then I started cleaning for the lady who owns the place, who he rents from. So I would muck her stalls. And then soon enough, I'm there like every single day. And I was just like, I got really used to the culture, boots and jeans. That's kind of what you wear.
Yeah.
And I've always loved country music. I've listened to country music since I was a kid. That's been my favorite genre ever since.
Yeah.
So, yeah, honestly, it was just because of my dad. And he always took me out hiking, backpacking, horseback riding, whatever it was. And that's where I loved outdoors.
That's where
it came from.
Yep. Now I'm gonna ask you this question. This is maybe a little off topic, but you spent a solid year losing.
Mhm.
We fought for a year and lost. And you never gave up. You never gave up on me. You never doubted what we were doing. You never quit. Why not? Some people can't handle one bad sparring session without quitting.
Yeah.
You took a full year of competition losing and didn't quit. So I'm curious what your mindset was like and why you didn't quit.
Well, I was very pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not in you or anything, but in myself. And I feel like I didn't perform how I should have. But I go back to everything happens when it's supposed to. You know, God has a plan for you and it's going to happen when he says it's going to happen. So I'm like, I'm just going to use these losing, experiences as learning opportunities. Like, what did I do? What do I need to improve on? What did I do wrong? And it gets me used to being out on that stage.
Yep.
So yeah, I just use them as learning experiences, and my time will come when it's supposed to come.
And just for the record, for those that are just listening, she during that year competed not only against girls with a lot of experience, but really, a couple of Team USA members. You, I think, like 2 Olympians, you did really good. And the competitions weren't horrible. She did good. The girls just outclassed her a little bit because of the experience. But this is a girl that went from boxing. You were boxing a year, 2 years? How long? When you competed?
Year.
Yeah, so you went from boxing for a year, going to get up against girls that were Olympians and Team USA members. So I personally, my theory has always been this way. I put you, especially with girls, but I put you against tough tasks because then we make adjustments. We see if you really want to do it. This is really for you. Where your heart's at, where your mentality's at. How are you going to ride with the coach? Are you going to believe and trust in us? And if it's not for you, maybe this place is not for you. Maybe boxing is not for you. Maybe it's just us. So this just gives you a idea of how well this team is going to work. And then from there, we can take a step forward and go further up. And that's exactly what Grizzly did. After that, you fought a girl right before nationals, lost, which I think we gave it away, and we redeemed ourselves very recently. And then after that, you went to nationals, and I think that was your first time you went to the finals or semifinals. I can't remember, but you stopped the first girl, then you stopped the second girl.
Finals, yeah.
You went to the final, right?
Yeah.
And literally every girl you fought, you stopped. Yeah, like first round, second round, um, and it all came from a year of competition. But what that did, the year of losing, is I feel, and you tell me if you agree with this or not, but I feel like it made you almost fearless. It's like I went in the ring with the very best girls. There's no other girl that's going to be at that level or higher, and I feel like you performed better, in my opinion. What do you think?
I agree. And I think it was a lot of the nerves too.
Yeah.
Like that confidence definitely built.
Yeah.
And I wasn't as nervous, so I could actually move my
Yeah.
feet.
Like, I could actually move.
my feet, yeah. And I felt a lot better in myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then that girl that she had last lost to, she recently competed too, and you did a great job. So I don't know. I always think about you when I think about somebody really trusting the process. You prove you trust the process. I mean, you took a whole year of losing, and it's crazy that you where you got to from there. So thank you for that, Grizzly. Now I want to know. I know, but let's have them share. Some people may be the first time hearing from you. Where does the nickname Grizzly come from? Tell us that story, and then what does Grizzly represent?
Okay, well, Grizzly comes from my high school mascot. I remember it was like my second or third day here, and you asked me what high school I went to. I'm like, Brennan Bay, and you're like, oh, home of the Grizzlies. I'm like, yeah, and then that's where and then you're like, okay, I'm calling you Grizzly from now. I'm like, okay. And it took me a minute to get used to it, I'm not gonna lie.
Did you like it or dislike it?
I didn't dislike it. It was just
weird, different.
It was different. Yeah. But I like it now. So.
But I like it now. You grew into it.
I grew into it. And what it means, I would say it's like persistence, and then in the ring, you're all over your opponent. You don't give them any space. I'm still working on that, but yeah, and it's like an aggressive thing. It's like an alter ego for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Who does Grizzly represent? So when people hear Grizzly Days, who do you want them to know you represent?
Like, how do you mean? Like,
you want them to know that you represent your country, you represent the military, you represent your family, you represent JNBA. I don't know who does Grizzly the boxer represent?
Okay, God, country,
there you go,
family, and JNBA.
There you go. I like that. Now, who does Madeline represent? Who's Madeline?
God's always first. Yeah. So him and my family. Yep. Him and my family.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, I got a list of IG questions I need to ask Grizzly. Grizzly was like, man, you were a popular one on Instagram. So this is the first one, and it's from AB here in the gym. She said, what brought you to boxing, which we already got into, and how can we get more women involved in boxing and aware of the sport? So let's answer the second part. What do you think is your theory to get more girls in boxing?
Honestly, lead by example. Like, show them that you can go into the sport and be successful. Yeah. Like, I feel like a lot of girls join the Warriors, so far and are looking to
there's a lot more
compete or, spar or something.
You know who sparked that interest?
That's me. I
guess. By example. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yep. So that's a good one. I was Spider. Spider asked, I'm not sure who Spider is, but Spider asked, who has been your toughest opponent?
My toughest opponent at nationals, I cannot remember her name, but she did not let me get inside for the life of me. She would be hitting me with jabs the entire time. Where was it? It was, I can't remember what nationals it was at. Yeah. But yeah, she would not let me inside.
So she kept you away?
She kept me away the entire time, and I had no idea how to get in.
Yeah. All right. So. Tiburon Ben says, Andy asks this, what advice would you give other female fighters that want to start or take part in boxing?
Don't be afraid. Like, you had me spar so many guys, so I just say, don't be afraid. You're going to get hit eventually. It's going to happen, and just keep going in there and then show them what you got. Yeah.
As a female, what happened to you? What inspired you to box? What is your biggest challenge as a female fighter? Same. Andy asked this question.
Okay. Well, inspiration, it was my dad. And then my grandpa was also Golden Gloves. So I'm like, oh, it kind of runs in the family, you
Yeah.
know? And the hardest thing I would say is not being able to spar girls all the time, you
Yeah.
know, or
Yeah.
somebody who's at my level all the time, you
Yeah,
know?
that makes sense.
So it's kind of difficult to get that experience.
Yeah. Dina want to know your 5-year plan.
The 5-year plan.
I think we kind of touched on it, but
Yeah.
let me hear yours from yours.
Well, boxing wise, my first goal is to win a national tournament. And then I want to make Team USA. And then we're gonna go from there. And then I also have school on top of that. So I want to graduate my degree, and then I'm kind of hoping to.
What's your degree?
Oh yeah, my degree is kinesiology.
That's what you're majoring in?
Yeah, so I'm majoring in, and I want to help performance of boxers. You know, strength conditioning, agility aspect of it, and it's really nice learning about that because now I can kind of help myself on whatever I learn.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to help my teammates too.
Yeah,
so.
That's cool. Yeah. What was the hardest skill for you to master?
Hardest skill. Maybe punching more, honestly, because I rely a lot on my head movement.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how I get inside. And lately, you've been having me do a lot more straight shots and body shots, you know, when I get inside. And I find it a little more difficult to keep doing that without just staying inside and moving my head the entire time.
Yeah.
So maybe punching off of head movement is my most difficult thing.
Who has helped you stay disciplined?
My dad. And you and my teammates. Yeah.
All right. Who's your favorite coach?
David. No, I'm kidding.
No, be honest.
No,
it doesn't have to be me.
I love all the coaches, but I spend most time with you, and I feel like I have more of a connection with you.
Oh, we talked about Travis. This is his wife, Erica. Erica wants to know, do you avoid your weakness or focus on strengthening it?
I used to avoid it, I'm not going to lie. And now I work on strengthening it. So say like my angles or something, I'll come in the afternoon after I train in the morning, and I'll just spend like half an hour working on angles.
Yeah, that's cool. This is not a question, but Vanessa said, fun fact, Grizzly does not like hugs. Is that true?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
She's always trying to hug me.
Really?
I let her, but she knows I don't like it. Yeah.
I didn't know you didn't like hugs. How come?
I'm not a huge hug person.
No?
I don't know. Yeah.
I didn't know that. All right. Alex asked this, and I think he probably already asked you because he was opening his mouth before the podcast, but he said, what is the most challenging thing in boxing, in your boxing career, and how did you overcome it?
The self-doubt is the most challenging.
Self-doubt?
Yeah.
So how did you overcome that? How do you handle that? When doubt creeps up, what do you do?
I kind of try and push it to the back of my brain. You know, I push it to the back of my mind, and I think about all the times that I did win a fight or I was doing well in a fight. And then I kind of let that go on a replay in my brain. Like, oh, I'm able to do this. Yeah. You know, I can.
So you overcome it with positive thoughts? Yeah. All right. Now, these are random questions that I'm going to ask you. What's your favorite place you like to eat?
I love the Spaghetti Factory.
Hey, you know crazy about Spaghetti Factory? I'll share. The day I told my mom that I wanted to box, we were eating at Spaghetti Factory for Mother's Day. I think it was Mother's Day. Yeah, we went for Mother's Day, and that's where I told my mom. So every time I hear Spaghetti Factory, I remember that day. That's funny. That's cool. What do you eat? What do you like about Spaghetti Factory?
Spaghetti and meatballs.
Awesome.
And spumoni ice cream.
And spumoni. I was going to say, you get the spumoni ice cream at the end.
Absolutely.
All right. What would you name this episode?
What would I name this episode? Grizzly.
Grizzly? All right. Yeah. Any takeaways, anything that if you were a listener, you would tell them, anything from this episode you want them to take away, what would you take away?
No matter how many times you get knocked down, you just got to keep going.
Keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
All right. Now, next one. Tell us something about Grizzly no one knows.
I hate the ocean.
Really? Well, you are a grizzly bear.
Freaks me out.
Which is kind of weird because you're outdoorsy. You would think you would kind of like that.
Yeah, I'm more of like a mountain outdoorsy.
See, you are a bear. You are a grizzly bear. You don't see no bears in the ocean. Anything you'd like to add to this podcast? Anything you want to say, add, nothing?
I don't think so.
No? All right. How can people stay in contact with Grizzly?
Text me. Instagram.
Instagram?
Yeah.
Don't text her. Instagram her. DM her. All right.
People who have my number.
Boom. Thank you guys for listening to Grizzly's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed her story. And make sure you follow her and follow her career. Show love on her social media, on her fights. Whenever you guys get a chance to check her out live, go to one of her fights. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed this episode or know someone that can gain something from it, maybe a female that's struggling with that security similar to Grizzly's story, share this episode with her. And if you did like it and you're not subscribed, subscribe, like, share. Let me know what you think. Have a great week. Happy holiday season, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. I'm out.